Hi, Betsy. Ricardo came up with a good idea to help you with your fine motor skills. And that idea was to send you up some coils. This is 12 gauge, 2-inch coil and 14 gauge, probably a little more than an inch coil. Nickel, brass. And we're going to send you up the nickel because it's a little harder to bend, but we're not going to send you the 12 gauge stuff because nobody but Ricardo can bend it, Mr. Macho Guy. So I'm just going to very briefly go over the creation of a barrette for you, and I'm going to double check and make sure that I'm in front of the camera while I do this. Okay, so this is a barrette, almost, and I'll show you why I mean almost. This is also a barrette. Ricardo doesn't like when they overlap because it's hard to hammer that. You have to hammer the top part, then the bottom part, and then the tip. So he doesn't like them to overlap, but I'm going to show you what those look like anyhow, just for you. And all right, so coils are, when we cut a barrette, we count the coils. So we consider this a 2 coil. So it's one full one to here, and then if you go down one, you get another full one. So that's a 2 coil. And you can do all of what I'm doing with any size coil. Just keep the numbers the same, and you want to do things repetitively if you can. All right, so here's a coil, right? So that's the middle, right? I'm going to flip it over. The middle is in back. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to push these 2 ends in because it's easier. I'm just going to open it, right? So the wire already has a language. So cutting the coils is one thing. You should probably go ahead. You can work with the small coils to start with, but go ahead and cut 5 or 6 of each, and you want to do the same step. So I've got 5 or 6 coils cut. They're on my paper. I'm going to do all the opening first. So open it, open the next one, open the next one. So you've got that step done, because repetition is going to help you too. I'm going to make this barrette, and I'm going to show you. All right, so it's all done with your hands except for the final turn. So supporting it and bending. You'll get this as you do it. Support, bend. You can see how my hands are working. All right, I'm going to flip it, because of course you want to always have the bend up and work with this hand down and around. Follow the natural motion of your body. So like that. So one of the things I've done on this, which you will notice, is because this is going to be a barrette and not one of Christy's bent pieces of wire, I make sure everything is attached, not to the point where things are attached and they spring when you touch them, but attached to the point where the edges are comfortable with each other. Because as soon as you heat it with a torch, it goes boink, and then you get an overlap. It's hard to hammer. So having these edges touching means that they're gently touching, but they're touching. Okay? So, and I'll show you what I mean. This barrette is not really ready to be a barrette yet, because that's not touching, that's not touching, that's not touching. It's easy enough to do, but it is really the final step of your bending process, is just to make sure everybody, see? Okay, so the next step on this, and I have to grab my pliers here. I'm going to send you up a pair of my cheap pliers. This brass is soft enough to use these long pliers. Okay, so the next step is to grab this as close to the tip as possible. And you can see I don't have any wires sticking out on this side over here. Close to the tip. Your first bend is really important. Whoops. Oh, yep, and that's what happens. It falls off sometime. Your first bend is really important, so you want to give it a good turn. See how that's a nice turn? Oops. It's a nice turn with a curve to it. It's not flat like this would be if I started here. Right, if I started there, this end would be flat and it would be noticeable. So give it a nice turn, and then you do your coils. So there's 2 things happening here. One is you're learning how to hold, keep things stable. And the second thing you're doing is you're working with your fine motor skills and strength. Turn. It doesn't have to be a tight turn. It just needs to be a beautiful turn. And then right around. So by the time you've done that, you've probably knocked everything out of place, which is why we wait for the lining up to the last minute. And then you just do that. So that is a barrette. And I'll do one more for you. I'm going to do a coil and a half because we don't want to make the barrettes too big. So coil and a half obviously is just, you know, cutting along the other side, right? Coil and a half, 1.5. And again, I'm going to go, I'm going to do this right in the middle. So the middle is on the opposite side. So then I have that. And then we just do, keep it really simple. Just grab it, do your first turn, which is the hardest one, and then work on doing your coils like that. And you'll notice I'm not really concerned about making them touch right now. I'm really concentrating on my coil and how pretty it is. And then this is a very logical step. You're going to get a funny bend here, but it makes sense. And actually, I need to bring this up. And then these two turns, these need to be connected. She says, not doing a very good barrette. These need to be connected. This one above this line and this one below. So you get 3 strengths across. You don't want to connect them like this because that is a weak point. Whoops, let me see. That's a weak point. So, and unbending the wire always leads to difficulties because you've already bent it. It wants to go in a straight line, blah, blah, blah. But when you connect a barrette where you're just doing a couple things, you really want to make sure that you have them attached above and below each other on each side of the central wire. Okay, so, and again, you can do the same thing with the small wire. I'll do a 2 coils. This is a baby wire. 2 coils open it the same way. 1, 2, and again, you'll notice I'm not worried about lining this up. 1, 2, and then I'll do my little turn at the end here, and it's a tinier wire so I can get in tighter with my turn. Same thing here. I'm going to do my little turn right there, and then I'll use my pliers and connect this. Use my pliers, continue the spiral around and connect that, and then just make sure 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's my big barrette and my baby barrette, just like that. So we're going to send you some coils. I'm going to email this video to you as a QuickTime video just because it'll come up bigger and I'd like you to see this bigger. So I'm going to send you up my second best pair of crappy pliers because I don't use good ones for cutting the wire. These will make cutting the wire a tiny bit more difficult because they're not razor sharp, but that's good. And then I'm going to send you up these pliers right here, which are my thick pliers, which you can play with. And then I'm going to send you up my thin pliers. So you're going to have a set of pliers. We'll cut you. We're going to leave some coils for you. I'm going to do some coils for you to cut. And then you can play around with the barrettes, okay? This would be great for your fine motor skills. Okay, love you, Betsy. This is Ricardo's idea. It was a great one. Okay, bye.